the culprit finished her off!
Hello? Game? What happened? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh man, guess who's gotta do this part again, because apparently their PC just decided to absolutely freeze up while recording. Fun times. What's up everyone, Bromaster47 here once again, getting back to the blind let's play of Danganronpa V3 Kill in Harmony. And yeah, that is entirely what happened when I was recording. But if you're curious as to what happened last time, basically we found out that it was Kiyo who killed Tenko, but now she's refuting and saying that apparently we need to figure out who killed Angie. So a little bit of a thing that I gotta mention, because I had to do this part again, my health will actually will be different compared to the last part. Yeah. Anyways, enough about me rambling. Let's continue.
We can figure that out. No one else could have done it besides you. If you're the one who killed Tenko, you gotta be the one who killed Angie.
I understand how you feel, Himiko, but maybe we can discuss this rationally and calmly. There is a non-zero possibility that Kiyo is telling the truth.
So you understand how she feels. I see. Wait, robots can understand human feelings?
Yes, they can.
Of course I understand. I worked really hard to understand.
Hey, why are you getting all worked up, Kibo? Chill, dude.
That's enough! It's voting time! I'm gonna vote for him!
Voting for me will only help the one who murdered Angie.
Isn't Kiyo culprit?
Of course I'm not. This case was an error on my part. Monokuma added that rule after both bodies were found, yes? How was I to know that the trial would only be for Angie's killer? Had I known, I certainly wouldn't have killed Tenko.
You're lying! You killed Tenko and Angie!
Now hold on. Jumping to conclusions here is dangerous.
We should talk it out more. This case might have juicy plot twists waiting to happen.
Nuts to that! Any way you look at this case, Kiyo is obviously the culprit. Yeah, there's sort of no other way to look at it.
No, it's too dangerous to vote before we arrive at a logical decision.
The culprit's one of you!
Yep.
Wowee! This argument is getting intense! At times like this...
Yep, it's time for another debate scrum.
The Ultimate Academy is proud to present its very own more phenomenal trial grounds!
Yippee! I've been waiting for this!
You've been waiting for a lot of stuff, Korekiyo. I don't know what you're talking about.
How are you waiting for it?
Kiyo confessed to killing Tenko, but he insists he didn't kill Angie. We won't forgive Kiyo for what he did, but we can't vote until we know the facts. I have to pin down the evidence and convince everyone. Another thing that happened was, in the last take that I did of this before the crash, I actually got one of these wrong. So yeah, that was bad on my part. Alright, here we go. Debate scrum, start.
Killed Tenko and Angie!
Kibo, we don't know for certain that Kiyo killed Angie.
He forced his way into Angie's research lab and killed her!
I got this! But he couldn't get into Angie's research lab.
The katana was found in Kiyo's lab.
Kiyo! Anyone could have entered my lab.
So Korekiyo did kill Tenko, but he not blackened?
Kokichi! Perhaps there's a second blackened we need to find.
He was planning to use the new rule to protect himself all along.
Kyo! Not possible. That rule was added after both murders.
Yep.
We solved the mystery of Teiko's death. Can't we just vote now?
I got this! Not yet. There's still another mystery to solve.
Alright, here we go. Crouch, find, set, engage. I should use my right hand for this.
It would be a mistake to vote before we've completely solved Angie's murder.
Yep.
And there's still the mystery of Tenko's murder.
Mystery? What kind of mystery?
Well, Kyo's confession derailed our conversation a bit. But we still have to go over one of the clues found at Tenko's crime scene. I believe it might even have something to do with Angie's murder.
Yes, the outlined piece of evidence at Tenko's murder scene. And yeah, we already determined that it was actually the old blood. Somewhere down here. Dried blood under the floor.
This is it! The blood stain found under the floor. Maki and I found it during the investigation. It was beneath the floorboard that the culprit stomped on.
Is that Tenko's blood?
That bloodstain was too far from Tenko's corpse to have been hers.
Also, the bloodstain was already dry when we found it. But the blood from Tenko's body hadn't even begun to dry yet.
Well, that's weird. Why was that bloodstain the only dry one?
The bloodstain under the floorboard was dry because it happened before the seance. Because it wasn't there before Tenko was... Or actually it was there before Tenko was... I think it happened before the seance. I think it was this or this.
That's it!
I think either or is a good answer, to be honest.
The bloodstain wasn't from Tenko's murder. It was there before we started the seance.
Or the seance?
That should make it clear whose blood it was. And that was Angie's blood. It ain't Korekiyo's, and it ain't Kokichi's. It's Angie's.
That's it!
One Korekiyo wasn't even injured.
That bloodstain wasn't Tenko's. It was Angie's.
Why was blood from Angie at the scene of Tenko's murder?
Yeah, wasn't Angie killed in her research lab?
It is true that she was killed in a research lab. However, that part there was not mentioned in the Monokuma file. It only told them where the scene. It only told them where the body was found, but not the actual scene of the crime.
Just because we found her body there doesn't mean she was killed there.
Ah, I guess that's possible.
If Angie wasn't killed in her lab, then that opens up a lot more possibilities. We assumed that only council members could have killed Angie since her body was in her lab. But if she died somewhere else, then we can't suspect just the council members anymore.
So the culprit didn't enter her lab, but waited for her to come out of it?
I'm not sure if the culprit waited for her, but they probably killed her when she came out. Well, I thought that was more likely from the start. So I went to places Angie might have gone, and checked all 3 empty rooms.
Places she might have gone? Why did you check the empty rooms then?
The empty rooms were the only places I could think of that Angie would go.
Did Angie have business in rooms?
I'm pretty.
It seems Kokichi's up to his usual misleading nonsense again.
I do lie a lot, and I could be lying right now too. But I'm pretty sure someone's panicking right now because of my lie.
Angie left her lab on her own and headed to the room where she was killed. Is Kokichi's statement true, or I'm pretty sure it is true. So for this one, we need the Necronomicon.
Is not where Angie was killed. She was killed in the empty room instead.
Nope.
She left her lab on her own?
But why would she go into an empty room? There shouldn't have been anything in there.
Except for candles.
That's it! She wanted a candle!
I agree.
That's it. Angie went to that room to get a candle.
Yeah, her kinky wax play!
No. Angie was going to use it for the ritual. According to the Necronomicon, to resurrect the dead.
To resurrect the dead, they need to burn the Necronomicon to ashes. Use caution. Be mindful of carbon monoxide poisoning. And that's pretty much why she needed a candle.
Seek out a candle so she could burn the book?
That's right. There's nothing to start a fire with in Angie's lab. So she went to go get a candle from one of the empty rooms.
And that's when the culprit attacked her!
That's why there was dried blood underfloor.
Which means Angie was attacked in the same room the seance was held. Bravo, Himiko. Well done for choosing that room for the seance. If we hadn't done the seance in that room, then Tenko's murder would have been in another room. If that happened, no one would have discovered Angie's bloodstain under the floorboards.
That's right. Shuichi and I only checked under the floorboards where Tenko died.
Yep, it's all thanks to Himiko for choosing the same room as Angie.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. So bravo to Himiko on that part.
This must be a Tua's will. Or maybe the power of magic.
It's neither. I just picked one.
Hold on. You're all acting as though you've proven that as fact already. You claim Angie was murdered in the empty room, and then moved to the lab? Then how do you explain the large amount of blood in the lab?
That is a very good
It
point.
may be possible to carry a body, but blood cannot be moved.
I think she was still alive after the attack in the empty room. She was killed after she was carried to her lab.
That means the culprit attacked her twice. I have evidence for that. And the evidence is a forehead injury. The injury on her forehead means it's not bleeding as much as it would have.
This is it! The fatal wound was a cut to the back of her neck from the katana. But she also showed signs of blunt force trauma, and I think I know why. After Angie was knocked unconscious in the empty room, she was killed in her lab.
I see. So that puddle of blood is from the killing blow.
Yep, pretty much.
Ha! It's all clear now.
Now,
Angie was attacked in the empty room, carried to her lab, and it was there that the culprit finished her off.
and okay, now we're now we're in blind territory again.
All clear. This is all clear. What are you all talking about? All clear? What is all clear?
Yo, why are you stuttering like that?
What are you? All clear? What are you all? You. You what? What are? I will not fear. I will not back down.
What? Wait, huh?
Sweet Korekiyo, calm yourself.
Wait, excuse me?
Their words are all hollow. There is no meaning to any of them.
What? Yeah, that's what I
Teach
think.
these ignorant children a lesson.
Yes, you're right. Okay, I'll teach them.
Oh my god. Are Is this a split personality? It has to be.
What the hell are you mumbling about? You're giving me the goddamn willies!
Not yet. Nothing is clear at all.
Okay, but
It's full of doubts, of mysteries, of a dense, impenetrable fog! Nothing is clear at all!
okay, well, oh man, how are we gonna prove this? Alright, so let's see what we can do. Monokuma file, the duct tape, the katana.
Angie was attacked in the empty room first, and then carried into the research lab? Impossible! Impossible! That's nothing but a delusion! You intend to poison our mind with your delusions?
It's no delusion. Angie's 2 external wounds tell the story. After she was struck in the empty room, she was carried to the art research lab and then killed.
Okay.
You say the culprit carried Angie's body, and not a single drop of blood fell? The hallway and empty room had no bloodstains. Even if you wipe them down later. there'd
Oh,
still
wait,
be
I-
traces of evidence left behind. But there was
Oh, wait.
no evidence anywhere, was there, Shuichi?
Wait,
I'll cut through your words.
okay. I knew the duct tape had to be applied, but I thought it was the last statement that had to be.
Evidence left at the scene. The bloody tape under Angie's body.
What?
It was wrapped around her head to stop the bleeding while she was being carried.
Bloody tape? Gonta didn't notice at all.
It was under the body. It's most likely evidence the culprit should have gotten rid of. But since it was hidden, the culprit didn't notice and failed to dispose of it.
It must have fallen as the fatal blow was dealt, and ended up under her body.
God.
Must have been Atua who did that for us.
What? Atua? How long are you going to keep that up?
Now we know most of the mystery behind Angie's murder.
Actually, yeah, we do. So basically, from what I can tell, Angie had gone to go to one of the dark rooms to get a candle. But then they were struck behind, not most likely knocking her out. But with what though? I have a feeling it was one of the loose floorboards that did the trick. But then after that, they taped. If what I hear is correct, taped her up, or taped up the wound to stop the bleeding, carried it back to her lab, struck the final blow, then set up the katana to create a locked room mystery, and I think now, and we pretty much know the rest of what happened.
I'm convinced there's only one person who could have killed Angie.
It's the person is Kyo, and yeah, it has to be you.
It has to be you.
Oh wow, I didn't
It's
think of that.
Kyo. You killed Angie.
What the fuck? So it's true!
Well, that was obvious. Such a boring, obvious answer.
You killed both of them.
Yeah, but why?
Why did you kill them?
In terms of pure logic, only one victim was necessary to win.
Why? Why you killed them both?
I think one of the murders was an accident.
Oh?
An accident?
That's right. It wasn't part of the plan.
Huh? Which one?
Actually, that's a very good question. The murder that was an accident. I think it was Angie's murder. Because the murder of Tenko, that was all elaborately set up. But this one, I think, was the accident.
That's it! Angie's murder was an accident.
What? Tenko wasn't accident?
That's right. Kyo originally planned to kill someone with a seesaw trick. But while he was making preparations in the empty room, Angie walked in. So he decided to kill her in order to keep her from talking.
She just happened to walk in on the culprit setting up and was killed.
Then, he should have just stopped there. Tenko killed Angie. There was no reason for him to kill Tenko.
He only needed to kill one for this game. Killing two is pointless. If you get bonus points for killing more, then sure. Otherwise, it leaves more clues behind.
Yeah, pretty much. This also happened in the other Case 3 trials from the other two games.
Why, Kyo? Why you killed two of our friends?
What on earth are you talking about? No, I'm not the culprit. So, why is everyone looking at me like I am?
Because you are.
Why? Why are they? Why is it? Calm yourself, Korekiyo. Yes. You mustn't raise your voice. You mustn't stutter. You mustn't lose composure. You mustn't become flustered. You mustn't waver. Look at their horrid faces. This sorry lot is not worth agonizing over. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
There he goes again. What the hell's wrong with him?
It almost seems like he's talking with someone.
Yeah, his other personality.
Someone? He's just talking to himself. And why the hell is he wearing lipstick?
I mean, I'm not the one that was going to point that out, but, well, you just had to do that, Miu.
No matter how loudly you protest, this is a trivial matter. I will never acknowledge your allegations. Not a single one of them. For you see, there is no evidence that I killed Angie.
Oh, shoot. I think he's right. There may not be any evidence that proved that killed Angie. But is there a way I can prove that wrong?
No, I will not acknowledge it. I will only acknowledge facts, true events. I won't acknowledge fiction, Mr. I won't acknowledge your deductions or guesses. Well said. Good job, Korekiyo. Yes, thanks.
Creeps me the fuck out!
No evidence? There's no evidence that he killed Angie?
You're wrong. There is evidence.
Wait, hold on. We have evidence? What evidence is there? What evidence is there?
What? You do realize bluffs like that won't work, yes?
Well, if it got Phoenix right through trials, then I'm sure it'll work.
The weapon that was used to knock Angie unconscious in the empty room. That weapon tells us the whole story, Kyo.
That's not possible. I think you may have misunderstood. Apologize. Come on, apologize. 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 Come on. Apologize. 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 Apologize.
Seriously, what the hell's happening?
I'm kind of at a loss for words right now, to be honest. I have no idea what's happening with Kyo. But I know what weapon he used on Angie. I have to prove it to him. Oh, it's an argument, so here we go.
I have nothing to admit.
Alright.
You are simply wrong. Yes, I'm not the culprit.
Alright. Now I got the hang of it.
I have nothing to admit. You are simply wrong.
Oh, shoot.
Yes, I'm not the culprit. So I have nothing to confess. I have nothing to admit. You are... Why must you force your delusions on us? Your logic. That's merely a delusion. Well said, Korekiyo. To continue this debate is meaningless. Why must you force your delusions
shoot.
on us? merely a delusion.
Well said, Korekiyo. To continue this debate is meaningless.
I told you I am not the culprit. So why are you looking at me like that? You're all wrong, not me.
Korekiyo speaks the truth. Such a sorry lot.
Apologize.
Shoot.
Apologize. Apologize.
Apologize.
I told you.
Wow, that's going pretty fast.
So why are you looking at me like that? You're all wrong, not me.
Korekiyo speaks the truth. Such a sorry lot.
Apologize. Apologize.
Wow, I can't.
Apologize.
Shoot.
I told you I am not the culprit. So why are you looking at me like that? You're all wrong, not me.
Korekiyo speaks the truth. Such a sorry lot.
Oh.
Apologize.
Wow, it's kind.
Apologize. Apologize.
Apologize.
I told you I am not the culprit. So why are you looking at me like that? You're all wrong, not me.
Korekiyo speaks the truth.
Alright.
You have no proof that Korekiyo is the killer.
Floorboard removed.
I told you I am not the culprit.
Oh, it's. Oh, wait, it's floor.
Me like that. You're all wrong, not me.
Korekiyo speaks the truth.
Okay, it's, floor. Removed the floorboard. Okay, let's try that again.
You have no proof that Korekiyo is the killer.
Removed floorboard.
It ends here.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I knew it had something to do with the floorboard.
With the same floorboard used in the seesaw trick.
Oh, oh, wow. That's a hurt.
And how do you know the floorboard was the murder weapon?
There was a small patch of dried blood on the underside of the floorboard.
Angie's blood?
Blood that spattered there when the culprit struck Angie with the board. But that's not the only evidence that she was hit with that floorboard.
Wait, there isn't? But what else was there?
There's also the bloodstain under the
Oh,
floor.
right.
For that to be there, the floorboard must not have been in place at the time of the attack.
Good point. Had the floorboard been in place, her blood wouldn't have splattered beneath it.
Yeah, that's true.
Kiyo's earlier confession is further evidence that the floorboard was used.
How?
If the weapon used to hit Angie is the floorboard from the seesaw trick,
It means the culprit knew about the seesaw, so the same person killed Tenko and Angie.
I. Oh my god.
I believe that while Kiyo was setting up the seesaw, he was holding the board when Angie walked in.
and he cold-cocked her with a floorboard!
That's true.
All you can do now is accept it. You even confessed to Tenko's murder already.
What's true? This is the truth.
We're probably gonna have. We're probably gonna have to reveal the case one more time.
Looks like we're almost at the end. All right, Shuichi. I'll leave the finale to you. Bring down the house.
All right.
Please, put an end to this. For Angie and Tenko's sake. End this class trial.
I understand.
Got it.
Go over everything one more time.
Yep.
Kiyo, I want you to confess. No, I will force you to confess.
All right. It's time to end this case once and for all. Who's the culprit? Who's the culprit? With the saw in the empty room. Well, okay. Let's look at what everything we have so far. So first, they hit the slide lock. The small stone Himiko brought. There was a sickle that was placed to kill. And the path was made with salt. The floorboard was removed. They removed the gold leaf katana. And duct tape was stuck. So, at this point, I believe this was the answer to the first one. So there, that's the floorboard done. What was causing the injury on Angie's head while she was carried? It was the duct tape. What weapon was used to kill Angie? Well, right now, it was not the small stone. It was the gold leaf katana. The handle of the spinning. Now, I just don't know where the gold leaf katana fits in on this. So let's kind of keep going here. When Angie's body was found, who unlocked the door? That was Kokichi. What object did Tenko rest her head on? It was the small stone that Himiko brought. Next, what weapon did the culprit set up in the iron cage? It was the sickle. And I believe here, who besides Kokichi was responsible for extinguishing the candles? Unfortunately, we don't have that available to us, so we're going to have to leave it. How was the culprit able to move around in the dark? Well, the path was made of salt, so they used their sense of feeling. When the culprit approached the cage... And, okay, we're going to have to go back, because I think at this point, I believe... Was it here that it can be used? Okay, perfect. The handle of the spinning katana hit and closed everything up. So now let's unlock the rest. Alright, let's go back through the case one more time. So, who was with the culprit in the empty room? Who was the culprit with the doesn't say here. Whose effigy was stabbed with Hana? It was Kaede's, for some reason. When Angie's body was found, who unlocked the door? That was Kokichi's. Next is who's responsible for this? It was us. When the culprit approached the cage, they did a hard stomp on the floor. And how did the magic circle get erased? Well, we all walked over it, and now we need to go back and it's on the front. Yeah, here it is. We cut the cross piece in the floorboard.
This is the truth of the
case. Let's explain it. Act 1.
Let's look back at the first murder. It was late last night. The culprit was in the empty room on the 4th floor. The culprit was preparing the seance murder they had planned. To use the floorboard as a seesaw, they had to cut the crosspiece supporting it. The plan was to make the same preparations for all 3 empty rooms. This would divert suspicion away from the culprit and whoever picked a room. To cut the crosspieces, they needed a saw. I imagine they got one from the warehouse. They were planning to cut the crosspieces in all 3 rooms. However, when the culprit was working on the middle room, the unexpected happened. Angie walked into that room and saw the culprit making their preparations. She needed some fire for the ritual and had gone to the room for a candle. At that point, the culprit had not finished the setup and was just cutting crosspieces. Angie might not have concluded that it was tied to some kind of murder plan, but now that Angie had seen it, the culprit couldn't use the seesaw trick. Any other person might have just given up, but not our culprit. The culprit took the floorboard they loosened and struck the unsuspecting Angie in the head.
Yep, that's what happened.
The culprit did not want to give up on their plan and had to improvise. They wrapped duct tape around Angie's injury to stop the bleeding. Then they picked up her unconscious body and carried her to a research lab.
Oh.
While she was unconscious, the culprit hurried to tie up this loose end.
Yep.
But because they were in a hurry, they made a crucial oversight. They didn't notice the duct tape had peeled off and was under Angie's body. Without that evidence, we may never have figured out the culprit's trick. Carrying the supplies they needed, the culprit returned to the ultimate art lab. Locked the front door from inside. And took out the katana they brought from their own lab. They then stabbed Angie in the back of the neck, finally killing her.
Boy. Yeah.
Then, to further confuse us, the culprit attempted to make a locked room mystery. First, they used rope from the warehouse and hung 4 effigies upside down. There were 2 reasons for this: to overwhelm the room with an occult atmosphere, and the other was the key to locking the room. The culprit stuck the katana into Kaede's effigy near the rear entrance. And spun the effigy around to twist up the rope. After enough turns, the culprit let go and headed for the rear door. Once released, the effigy began spinning, and the gold leaf katana with it. The handle of the katana then hit the sliding lock, locking the door. A difficult trick, but remember that the lock was so loose it moved at the slightest touch. The culprit also would have had the opportunity to attempt it many times. Once complete, the door was locked, but the duct tape was left behind.
Yep. And
Perhaps the culprit noticed it, but by that point, it was too late. The room was sealed. There was no way for them to get back inside.
oh boy. This is the 3rd act now?
Then, this morning, we opened up the room and discovered Angie's body.
This is quite a long closing argument.
But the culprit wasn't finished. They wanted one more murder. To do that, they manipulated us into performing this seance. Of the 3 empty rooms, the middle one was chosen for the seance. I was invited by Kokichi to take Kibo's place in the seance. Tenko volunteered to be the medium, but she never imagined it would get her killed. To perform the seance, the culprit claimed they needed something for Tenko. A small stone that Himiko had brought from the courtyard. Tenko, at the culprit's request, bowed her head until it was touching the stone. That position was instrumental in making sure the murder went as planned. Next, Kokichi and I placed the iron cage over Tenko, in the middle of the magic circle. The culprit then volunteered to drape the white cloth over the iron cage. We didn't realize it at the time, but that was a deliberate decision by the culprit.
And, of course, the murder weapon.
The murder weapon that was used to kill Tenko. While they were covering the cage with a cloth, they secretly placed the sickle. Finally, 4 of us placed the wooden statue on top of the cage.
And because it was so heavy,
the culprit used the weight of the statue to keep the murder weapon in place.
Yep. And then that's when the seance began. Act 5.
After the preparations were complete, we began the seance. In complete darkness, we each stood in one corner and sang the Cage Child song. When the song finished, the soul of the dead was supposed to enter the medium, but our culprit had another plan: to commit a murder in the darkness. Right after we started singing, the culprit began making their way toward Tenko. It would have been quite difficult to do in total darkness, but our culprit had a guide. They used the lines of the magic circle drawn with salt. The culprit felt for the salt and used it to guide them along. And when the culprit reached the center of the circle, they found the floorboard that had its crosspiece cut off the night before. Then lifted up their foot and stomped down hard on the floorboard. The floorboard lifted up like a seesaw and pushed Tenko's body up toward the ceiling of the cage. Tenko was stabbed in the back of the neck by the sickle on the top of the cage. She was killed right before our eyes, and we didn't even see it. After committing the crime, the culprit followed the salt back to their corner, finished the ritual, and had us light the candles. We followed the culprit's directions and removed the equipment used for the seance.
Man, this is quite elaborate.
And discovered Tenko's body. And while we were all focused on the body, the culprit picked up the sickle and dropped it under the floor through the hole in the corner of the room. Ironically, the final step of the murder was unwittingly carried out by us. The culprit had planned the murder so that we would unintentionally destroy some evidence. That evidence was the magic circle that the culprit used to navigate in the dark. However, the culprit didn't know that Kibo had taken a picture. He really saved us. Without that, we wouldn't know what changes were made to the circle.
Yep.
But now we know for certain, and we know the culprit drew the magic circle.
Alright.
Korekiyo Shinguchi, the ultimate anthropologist. You're the culprit behind these murders.
Yeah, that's right. You're busted, Kyo.
That's where my detective work leads us. It all fits.
Uh-oh.
Sweet Korekiyo. There were times when it's necessary to admit defeat. Admit? Yeah. Okay.
So you finally admit you did it.
Unfortunately. Yes. Yes. It's unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. My one regret, my only regret, was not being able to make 100 friends.
100 friends?
Huh?
It was my dream to make 100 friends. Oh, it's so unfortunate! I was so close to 100!
Huh?
What are you talking about? I do not understand a word of this.
Yeah, I don't either.
Who gives a fuck? Let's vote for this kooky bastard and be done with this already!
Yeah, I agree.
Roger that! One voting time! Coming up!
The heart racing excitement as...
You two don't want to say anything?
The heart racing excitement!
As the blackened and the spotless finally face off, it's voting time!
Wow, betrayed, Monodam. Alright, well, we all know who we're voting for. It's Korekiyo Shingirichi.
Now then, it seems the voting has finished. Let's see the result.
The results are in. Oh, even Kyo voted for himself. Or is it herself?
Who will be chosen as the blackened? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one?
The verdict is in. Indeed, we are correct once again. And we get a whole lot of mana coins. Okay. Okay, so like I said, so it looks like, yes, there were 2 back routes, but we did find one of them. We found a back route here. And Miss was minus 300? I could have sworn we got more than that. But then again, we did have that crash, and yeah. Where was the first Hangman's Gap? Yep, that was it. That was where I lost all that health. Actually, there were 2 Hangman Gambits. Huh. Or was there one that I missed out on first? Well, whatever. Anyways, looks like this is going to be the end of this video. So next time, the finale of Chapter 3. What's going to happen to Kyo? Well, I guess you'll have to wait till the next one. So once again, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the series so far. And I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, ciao. Also, thank God we didn't have a crash this time.